The River Nile, the name alone conjures a land of pharaohs, of monumental pyramids, and of a civilization that shaped human history. For millennia, it has been the lifeblood of Egypt, a benevolent god bestowing life in the midst of a barren desert. Its steady, dependable flow, and especially its annual flood, which brought a rich, black silt, was not just a natural phenomenon. It was the rhythm of a culture, the foundation of an empire. The ancient Egyptians called their land Kemet, the Black Land, in honor of this precious gift of sediment. The clockwork precision of the flood, arriving at nearly the same time each year, allowed them to build a complex agricultural society, to invent calendars, and to plan for the future with a certainty few other ancient civilizations possessed. For centuries, its source remained a divine mystery, a puzzle that confounded geographers and explorers. This great river seemed to spring from nowhere, carrying with it life and shaping destiny. But what if the mystery runs deeper than we ever imagined? What if the machine-like regularity of the Nile isn't a happy accident of geography, but a deliberate design? Let us take a journey into the realm of extraordinary possibility. Let us suspend what we know of geology and hydrology and consider a provocative idea. The Nile is not a river. It is a machine, a climate engineering project on a planetary scale, constructed long ago by a non-human intelligence, for a single purpose: to regulate the biosphere of Earth. What if the lifeblood of Egypt is actually the lifeblood of the world? A technology so ancient and so subtle that we have mistaken it for nature. Imagine the Earth as a house, a complex but fragile biological system that requires precise conditions to thrive. This house has an incredibly intricate heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, its ocean currents, atmospheric jets, and global carbon cycle. Now, imagine a master engineer comes along and sees that this system is prone to fluctuations, susceptible to brutal ice ages or scorching heat waves. Instead of constantly patching the system, they decide to install a central thermostat, a smart, self-regulating device that can sense the slightest changes in the house's environment and make subtle adjustments to maintain a perfect equilibrium. In our story, that smart thermostat is the Nile. It is not just a passive pipe carrying water. It is a central processor, an active control mechanism designed to keep Earth's climate within a narrow, ideal band for life to flourish. The idea may seem like science fiction, but when we deconstruct the functions of the Nile through this lens, the pieces begin to fit together in an unsettlingly coherent way. To understand the audacity of this hypothesis, we must first appreciate the elegance of the conventional scientific explanation. The Nile, as we know it, is a marvel of nature. It is fed by two primary sources: the White Nile, originating in the Great Lakes region of Central Africa, providing a steady, year-round flow, and the Blue Nile, which springs from Lake Tana in Ethiopia. It is the Blue Nile, fueled by intense monsoon rains over the Ethiopian highlands, that causes the iconic annual flood. These rains erode millions of tons of nutrient-rich volcanic soil from the highlands, turning the river a dark brown and depositing this fertile silt on the floodplains of Egypt. It is an elegant system, a symphony of geology and meteorology that has functioned for millennia. It creates a thousands of miles long oasis in one of the world's largest deserts, and its freshwater outflow into the Mediterranean has influenced local ecosystems for eons. Science explains the how of the Nile, but it doesn't answer why it works so perfectly, why this seemingly random system creates such enduring stability. Now, let's put on a different pair of glasses and look at this river again. In our climate engineering hypothesis, every natural component has an engineered purpose. The annual flood is no longer a byproduct of weather, but a calculated calibration event. The black silt is not just eroded soil. It is a biomanufactured compound. Let's start with the cornerstone of planetary climate, the carbon cycle. The balance of atmospheric carbon dioxide and carbon stored in the Earth and oceans dictates global temperatures. Our alien engineers would understand this. They would design a mechanism to efficiently scrub excess carbon from the air. Imagine the Nile's silt is not just nutrient-rich, but seeded with custom-designed microorganisms or nanoparticles. When deposited on the floodplains and exposed to sunlight and water, these agents get to work. They can absorb atmospheric carbon dioxide at a rate orders of magnitude higher than ordinary plant life, converting it into stable, inert carbon compounds. Each annual flood becomes a massive carbon capture event, sequestering gigatons of CO2 from the atmosphere and locking it away in the soil and, eventually, the floor of the Mediterranean Sea. The Nile isn't just feeding Egypt, it's scrubbing the planet's atmosphere, acting as a giant artificial lung, breathing in the planet's excess and exhaling life. But climate control goes beyond CO2. Water is the planet's lifeblood, and its great ocean currents, like the Atlantic Meridional overturning circulation, AMOC, act as global heat conveyors, distributing warmth from the equator to the poles. These currents are incredibly sensitive to changes in temperature and salinity. A major disruption could plunge the planet into an abrupt ice age. Our engineers would know this, and they would build a stabilizer into their Nile design. Consider the Nile's outflow into the Mediterranean. Conventionally, it's a relatively steady stream, but in our model, it's anything but random. Picture a vast system of pumps and reservoirs deep within the Earth's crust beneath Africa, connected to the Nile. This system constantly monitors the salinity and temperature of the Atlantic. If it senses the early signs of a weakening AMOC, it makes micro-adjustments. It might slightly increase the volume of fresh water discharge or subtly alter its temperature. This tiny pulse, introduced into the Mediterranean, would flow through the Strait of Gibraltar and create just enough of a ripple effect to stabilize the delicate Atlantic current. The Nile becomes a tiny but critical trim tab, steering the massive ship of global climate, making small course corrections that prevent catastrophe. Furthermore, evaporation from such a large body of water could be controlled. Perhaps a hidden technology beneath the riverbed, a subtle energy field, could regulate the rate of water vapor entering the atmosphere, deliberately creating atmospheric rivers to deliver rain to distant lands that are beginning to desiccate. The river isn't just reacting to climate, it is actively shaping it. Such a monumental work raises two great questions. Who would build it, and why? What could be the motivation for such a grand project? Perhaps the builders were galactic conservationists, who see life-bearing planets as precious preserves. They may have seen early Earth, a world of potential but with an unstable climate, and decided to intervene, not to conquer, but to preserve. The Nile was their act of stewardship, a gift to ensure the long-term stability of the biosphere, allowing complex life to evolve uninterrupted by climate-induced extinction events. Or perhaps the motive is less altruistic. Perhaps Earth is a long-forgotten terraforming project. An ancient civilization began the process of preparing this planet for their own settlement, setting up the thermostat, and for some reason a war, an ascension, or simply the passage of eons that never returned. We are living in a house built for someone else, unaware of the great machine humming along just beneath our feet. The technology required for such a feat is staggering. We are not talking about dams and canals, but of geoengineering. Continent-scale pumps hidden in the Earth's mantle, gravitational manipulators to shape the river's course from below, and self-replicating nanite factories in the riverbed constantly producing the bioengineered silt. This is technology at a level that Arthur C. Clarke would describe as indistinguishable from magic. It would be invisible to a young civilization like ours, hidden in plain sight, disguised as the planet itself. Ultimately, viewing the Nile as an alien climate engine is a thought experiment, a way of looking at the world through a new lens. There is no archaeological evidence for mantle pumps or design microbes in the mud, but the value of such an idea is not in its literal truth. It is in its ability to expand our perception. It forces us to look at a familiar feature of our planet with a renewed sense of awe and wonder. It challenges our anthropocentric hubris, The idea that we are the first and only conscious actors to shape this world. It begs the profound question, what else are we missing? If the Nile can be reimagined as a machine, what about the Great Barrier Reef, the Amazon rainforest, the tectonic plates themselves? Are these complex, self-regulating systems truly the product of random chance? Or are they the faint signatures of a grander design? The hypothesis transforms the Nile from a geographical wonder into a cosmic artifact. It makes the pharaohs not its first masters, but merely its most recent tenants. It suggests that the deepest secrets of our planet are not buried in sealed tombs or ancient texts, but are flowing openly in front of us, concealed by their very scale and sophistication. Whatever the truth may be, the river flows as it has for millennia. And perhaps that is the real miracle, that whether by nature or by design, we are the inheritors of a near-perfect life support system. Pondering its possible origins, be they terrestrial or extraterrestrial, only deepens our gratitude for this great river and reminds us that the greatest mysteries are often not out among the stars, but right here, under our feet.